Hello, friends. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve day when you are seeing this. And what a gift it is to be coming to you across time and space with this message. If you haven't yet, I'm going to ask you to find a way, maybe it's now, maybe it's later, to read the text from Isaiah and from the Gospel of Luke, which are given for this day, which tell the ancient story of Christ's arrival in this world. We'll make it possible for you to do that when this video goes out, but to do that alongside this message. So first I want to say grace and peace to you in this year of our Lord 2020. I hope you can take that peace into your heart and to experience a bit of the love of God for you today. There is a mysteriousness to the theological claim that we make every year that Jesus, God's Son, God's love with flesh on it, would come into the world. There is an incomprehensibility to the immense love of a God who would take human form, vulnerable and fragile, this baby, to help us understand what salvation is and what it means for our lives here and now. It's enough, certainly, to bend the mind of my 4-year-old. And it certainly is not a logical or a rational claim. There is nothing about this incarnation of God's love, this embodiment of God's love, that can be proven in a sort of post-enlightenment claim to truth kind of way. I love that about it. I hope you do too. Somehow, trusting in the notion that it is true is one of the most natural things in the world, at least for me. Emmanuel, God with us, close, concrete, even if it's not rational. I experienced this and have experienced this throughout 2020 in the delight and satisfaction of preparing and cooking more food at home than I ever have before, in that rhythm of work, leisure, work. I saw it in the volunteer staffing the hand sanitizing station, who was welcoming strangers into George Floyd Square this summer, asking visitors for a commitment to keep the community safe in more ways than one. I saw it in the rhythms and patterns of daily walks around my neighborhood, and in the kindness of the eyes of a stranger as she saw my tear-soaked mask in the wrapping paper aisle at Target. God was close. God was concrete. God was with me. And dare I say, God was with us. As we close out this calendar year in the midst of the obviously broken world we inhabit, I wonder, how have you borne witness to God being with you this year? How have you noticed God with us, God among us? It's an actual question. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but there is much debate among historians about the kind of welcome that Mary and Joseph received upon arriving in Bethlehem. There's so much legend in our songs, in our children's books, in our memories even, about there being no room in the inn. The story about Mary and Joseph traveling from place to place until they're finally allowed to stay in a stable has occupied our imagination for centuries. Here's the thing that's now being disputed. It's not the stable in the story, but it is the welcome. It's very important to some emerging scholars to note that to stay in a stable was actually to be welcomed into the heart of a family's home, where the animals were kept overnight. So then Mary and Joseph, were they staying in a stable, were not at the margins of this community, but they were instead really in the center of a family's home. Emmanuel, God with us, in the center of your home, in the center of your heart. In 2020, we have reckoned with so much brokenness in our own hearts, in our homes, in my city of Minneapolis, in this country. There is something about imagining that Jesus, the embodiment of God's deep love for you and for us, shows up here in the muck and the mess of it all. That feels profoundly disruptive and profoundly comforting all at the same time. Here's the deal, friends. God shows up in these intimate and concrete ways in our lives. And God shows up far beyond it. The beauty of the Christian life is that we get to spend our lives holding these two realities, this tension. That the fleshy, embodied nature of our lives is important and holy even. God takes root in you, in our city, in this world. And God will always be beyond you, outside of you and your capacity to comprehend God. Isn't that incredible? This is the magic and the mystery of Christmas. You are created by love, in love, for love. God is with you. You are not alone. Thanks be to God.